They slipped through the rusted gate once more, the journal held close. Although their journey began as a curious dare, an attempt at honing their English skills, it has ended as a profound encounter with a forgotten past. The old house, whispering secrets through each floorboard, taught them a lesson they won't soon forget. Some stories are best told softly, and some mysteries are best approached with respect for the unseen traces of history that linger in every shadow. Dust danced in the dim light filtering through the curtains. Everything felt frozen in time, as if the house had been waiting for her all along. As she walked through the creaking hallway, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching her. Then she saw it. In the living room, by the old fireplace, there was a bookshelf leaning slightly to the side. One book caught her attention, its spine different from the others, its leather cover cracked with age. She reached out, and when she pulled it, the shelf shifted ever so slightly. Click! A loose panel on the wall behind the bookshelf opened, revealing a small compartment. Emma's heart skipped a beat. Inside was an envelope, yellowed with time, sealed with a faded red wax stamp. Carefully, she pulled it out and held it in her trembling hands. The envelope felt heavier than she expected. Written across the front in elegant handwriting were 3 words, "To be found." A chill ran down her spine. Little did she know, this letter was about to change everything. Emma's fingers hesitated on the brittle envelope. She carefully broke the wax seal, unfolding the fragile paper inside. The handwriting was elegant but shaky, as if written in great urgency or fear. To whoever finds this, the truth must not be forgotten. What lies beneath this house must never be disturbed. Promise me you'll listen and never let the secret escape. Emma's breath caught in her throat. The letter ended there, abruptly, except for a strange symbol drawn at the bottom, an unfamiliar mark resembling an intertwined circle and cross. Her mind raced with questions. What lies beneath the house? What secret? Her eyes darted around the room as if searching for answers, but the only sound was the soft patter of rain outside. She flipped the letter over. Nothing. No signature, no date. Just that cryptic warning. She stood there in silence, the paper trembling slightly in her hands. What kind of secret was so dangerous that it had to be hidden and forgotten? But one thing was clear. This letter wasn't meant to be found by accident. Someone had deliberately hidden it, waiting for the right person to uncover it. And now, that person was her. Emma folded the letter carefully and slipped it into her pocket. She had to know more. Her eyes drifted back to the loose panel on the wall, wondering if there was more hidden behind it. With a deep breath, she reached inside, feeling around the dark space. Her fingers brushed against something cold and metallic. A key. It was old, almost antique, with an ornate handle shaped like the same symbol drawn on the letter. This can't be a coincidence. Gripping the key tightly, Emma felt the walls around her seem to close in, the shadows growing darker. Whatever she had stumbled upon wasn't just a family secret. It was something far bigger and far more dangerous. Emma's pulse quickened as she turned the key over in her hand. Its cold surface felt almost electric, humming with a significance she couldn't yet understand. She glanced around the room, searching for a lock that might match its unusual design. Nothing. Then, her gaze fell on the floor. The wooden planks beneath her feet were uneven, weathered by time and neglect. One plank, just a few steps away, seemed different from the others, slightly raised at the edges. Kneeling down, she pressed her fingers along the seam. It lifted with a creak, revealing a hidden compartment beneath the floor. A narrow staircase descended into darkness. Her breath caught. There's something down there. She could feel it. The air rising from below was damp and cold, carrying a faint scent of earth and decay. For a brief moment, she considered walking away, pretending she had never found the letter. But something stronger, curiosity or perhaps fate, compelled her forward. With the key gripped tightly in one hand and her phone's flashlight in the other, she stepped onto the first creaking step. The shadows swallowed her as she descended into the depths of the house. The walls were stone, rough and ancient, as though they belonged to a different era. The narrow passage twisted downward, and with each step, the air grew colder. Finally, she reached the bottom. In front of her stood an old iron door, its surface covered in strange carvings, the same symbol from the letter etched into the center. Her pulse pounded in her ears. This was it. The key fit perfectly into the lock, turning with an audible click. The door groaned as it swung open. Inside was a small, circular room. The walls were lined with shelves filled with crumbling books and dusty jars. In the center, resting on a stone pedestal, was an object wrapped in cloth. Emma hesitated before approaching it, her footsteps echoing softly in the stillness. Slowly, she reached out and unwrapped the fabric. It was a leather-bound journal. Its cover was worn and cracked, but a name was etched into it in faded gold lettering. Margaret Whitmore, her grandmother's name. Emma's hands trembled as she opened the journal to the first page. If you found this, it means the truth is finally ready to be known, and you must finish what I could not. Emma's eyes scanned the first few lines of the journal, her pulse racing with every word. It started with a discovery, just like yours. Beneath this house lies a story buried for decades, a story no one was ever meant to uncover. I tried to stop it, but it was too late. If you're reading this, you must be prepared for the consequences. The handwriting was frantic, words slanting wildly across the page as if written in desperation. Emma flipped through the brittle pages, each one revealing fragments of an unraveling mystery. There were sketches, symbols she didn't recognize, maps of the house, and passages warning of something beneath the foundation. The truth must remain hidden. Not all secrets are meant to see the light. Then, one passage stood out. I sealed the door to protect the world from what lies beyond. The key you hold will unlock it, but be warned. Once opened, it cannot be closed again. Emma instinctively glanced at the door she had just unlocked, a shiver running down her spine. Was that the door Margaret had written about? Had she already gone too far? A sudden sound broke the silence, a faint thud from somewhere deeper within the house. Her breath caught. She wasn't alone. The journal slipped from her hands, hitting the stone floor with a dull echo. The air around her felt heavy, thick with something she couldn't explain. Her flashlight flickered, casting fleeting shadows across the room. "Hello," she called out, her voice barely more than a whisper. No answer, but the thudding sound came again, closer this time. Emma backed toward the stairs, her heart hammering in her chest. She tried to convince herself it was just the house settling, a trick of the echoing halls. But deep down, she knew something was moving in the darkness, something that had been waiting for her. Emma's breathing grew shallow as the thudding stopped, leaving an unsettling silence hanging in the air. She stood frozen, her flashlight flickering weakly. For a moment, all she could hear was the pounding of her own heart. Then a whisper, soft and barely audible. It seemed to come from everywhere at once. "Why did you open the door?" Emma spun around, her light sweeping across the stone walls. No one was there. The whisper had vanished, swallowed by the darkness, but it left a lingering chill in its wake. Her eyes darted back to the journal lying on the floor. The pages had fallen open to a detailed sketch of what looked like a tunnel, one that led deeper beneath the house. Scrawled beneath it were the words, "Follow the path, but do not stray." Emma swallowed hard. Do not stray? What does that even mean? She considered going back upstairs, locking everything behind her, and pretending none of this had ever happened. But the pull was too strong. She had to know. Clutching the journal to her chest, she noticed a doorway at the far end of the room, hidden behind a row of shelves. A narrow corridor stretched beyond it, its walls carved from rough stone. The air was colder here, damp and suffocating. Emma moved cautiously, every step echoing softly. The walls seemed to close in around her, and her flashlight flickered again, as if protesting the darkness that grew heavier with each passing second. Then she saw it. A large iron gate stood at the end of the tunnel, its bars rusted and ancient. Behind it was an open space, a chamber shrouded in shadow. Emma shined her light through the bars, revealing fragments of what lay inside. Stone pillars covered in strange symbols, bones scattered across the floor, and, at the center, an altar made of blackened stone. Her blood ran cold. Suddenly, the whisper returned, louder and more insistent. "You should not have come this far." The gate creaked, its hinges groaning as it began to swing open on its own. Emma stumbled back, her mind screaming at her to run, but her feet felt rooted to the spot. Something was coming, and whatever it was, it had been waiting for her for a long, long time. The iron gate swung fully open with a metallic groan, revealing the dark chamber beyond. Emma's breath caught in her throat. The air was heavy, thick with a metallic scent that clung to her skin. Her flashlight flickered violently, the beam barely able to cut through the oppressive darkness. She stepped forward, her footsteps echoing against the cold stone floor. Every instinct told her to turn back, to run, but she couldn't. She was drawn to the altar at the center of the chamber, as if an unseen force was guiding her. The symbols carved into the stone pillars seemed to shift and writhe in the dim light, almost alive. Her eyes fell on the object resting on the altar, something wrapped in tattered cloth. It was small, about the size of a book, but whatever was inside radiated an unsettling energy. Emma hesitated, her hand hovering just above it. The journal's words echoed in her mind. Do not disturb what lies beneath. But it was too late to stop now. She pulled the cloth away, revealing a small, intricately carved box. Its surface was covered with symbols identical to those on the walls. The box felt warm, almost pulsing in her hands. Without thinking, she opened it. A sudden gust of wind tore through the chamber, extinguishing her light. The darkness closed in around her, and for a moment there was nothing but silence. Then the voice returned. You have awakened it. A low rumble vibrated through the floor beneath her feet. Emma stumbled back, the box slipping from her hands and crashing to the ground. The symbols on the walls began to glow with an eerie red light, illuminating the chamber in a pulsating rhythm. A shadow emerged from the far end of the room, tall and formless, its eyes glowing like twin embers in the dark. It moved slowly toward her, its presence suffocating. You were warned. Emma turned and ran, her heart pounding, her breath coming in ragged gasps. The corridor twisted and turned, the red light chasing her, growing brighter and hotter with every step. The whisper followed her, no longer soft and distant, but a chorus of voices, angry, desperate, demanding. The stairs were just ahead. She raced up them, the air growing lighter with each step. Finally, she burst into the living room, slamming the hidden panel shut behind her. For a moment, everything was still. The house was silent again, as if nothing had happened. But Emma knew better. She could still feel it. Something had followed her, and it wasn't going to stop. The box lay at her feet, closed once more, its carvings glowing faintly in the dark. And in the quiet, a single whisper lingered. It's only just begun. Emma backed away from the box, her breath trembling as she stared at it lying on the floor. The symbols on its surface continued to glow faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat, slow and steady. She knew she should leave it, abandon the house, and never look back. But something deep inside whispered that it wouldn't matter anymore. It was awake. The ground beneath her feet shuddered, a deep, rumbling vibration that seemed to rise from the foundation of the house itself. Dust rained down from the ceiling as the walls groaned, the house protesting against something far older and far more powerful than its crumbling frame could contain. Emma grabbed the journal, flipping through the pages in a frenzy, searching for something, anything, that could help her. Her eyes locked onto the last page, the handwriting more erratic than ever, as if scrawled in desperation. If it escapes, there's only one way to stop it. Return the box to where it belongs. You must seal it again, even if it costs you everything. The house quaked violently. The shadows around her seemed to thicken and move, coiling like smoke. The faint whisper now a chorus of voices speaking in a language she couldn't understand. Emma's pulse surged with panic. She snatched the box from the floor, feeling its unnatural warmth against her palms. It almost felt like it was alive, resisting her touch, but she held on tight. The stairs to the hidden chamber were gone. The ground had split open, revealing a yawning void beneath the floorboards, the altar far below, bathed in an angry red light. The shadows swirled around it like a vortex, hungry and waiting. Seal it. Now, the voice in her mind screamed. Without thinking, she hurled the box into the pit. The moment it hit the altar, the light intensified, blinding and searing. The shadows writhed in agony, their forms unraveling into wisps of black smoke, sucked back into the box as it slammed shut. The house roared with a final, deafening groan, then silence. Emma collapsed onto the floor, gasping for air. The glow was gone. The box lay sealed once more on the altar, quiet and lifeless. For a long moment, she sat in the darkness, her body trembling, her mind struggling to comprehend what had just happened. Then, the house began to settle, the oppressive weight lifting from the air. Emma climbed to her feet, every muscle screaming in protest, and made her way back to the surface. She didn't look back. She couldn't. As she stepped outside, the rain had stopped. The air was cool, clean, almost peaceful. The house stood silently behind her, its secrets buried once again. But Emma knew the truth. Some things should never be found, and some doors, once opened, can never truly be closed.